Fucking hell, man.
You know, my mama, she always told me, us Southerners get our good manners from the British. And I was thinking, ain't that a pity? Y'all ain't keep nothing for yourself. Y'all ain't never heard of knocking before you enter.
Well, actually, we had an invitation, didn't we?
Yeah, how did you now?
Yeah, it came in the shape of a bottle. We're from the Kingsmen tailor's shop in London. Maybe you've heard of us.
Oh, the Kingsmen? Yeah. Huh. That's where y'all got them fine suits and them fancy spectacles y'all got on.
Exactly. That's right.
Y'all look damn sharp. Let me see if I got it right here. You want me to believe that it's normal for a tailor to hack through an advanced biometric security system with nothing but a little bitty old watch on? I can promise you, that dog don't hunt. So why don't you go on and get down on your knees and tell me who you really work for?
On the set. This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the September 19th, 2017 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. This week's birthdays include Cassandra Peterson, better known as Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Jada Pinkett Smith from Gotham, James Marsden from the original X-Men films, Danielle Pennebaker and Tom Felton, both from The Flash, Laura Vandervoort from Smallville and Supergirl, novelist Stephen King, classic actress Sophia Loren, John Barenthal from The Punisher and The Walking Dead, well-known writer and character slayer George R.R. Martin, YouTube violinist Lindsey Sterling, Bad Wolf Billy Piper from Doctor Who, Dave Coulier from Full and Fuller House, classic comedian Bill Murray, and Marvel's Falcon Anthony Mackie. And you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't note that the 19th would have been Adam West's 89th birthday. The bat signal still burns bright, sir. Starting with the box office report, The Clown still reigns supreme. At number 10 is Dunkirk, down 2 from 8th. At number 9 is Spider-Man Homecoming, down 2 from 7th. At 8th is Leap, down 2 from 6th. In 7th is Annabelle Creation, down 3 from 4th. And finishing out the 6th spot on 5 is Wind River, down 1 from 5th. The top 5 this week begin with The Hitman's Bodyguard, down 2 from 3rd with $3.6 million and a total of $70.4 million. In 4th place is Home Again, down 2 from 2nd with $5.2 million and to a total of $17 million. In 3rd place is new release Mother, scaring up a meager $7.5 million. And that is a major disappointment, and there is absolutely no solace from audiences who called this film on the carpet with an F cinema score. That's a rather exclusive club. Only 18 other films have earned that distinction. Can you call it a distinction? I don't know. But it's not a club that filmmakers really want access to. For star Jennifer Lawrence, Mother marks her worst wide debut ever, coming in well below her previous low watermark, House at the End of the Street from 2012. The closest comparison is The Box, which opened to the same numbers and grade and finished in the ballpark of $15 million. Critics were a little more forgiving with a 68% positive reception, and with that, there is significant debate in critical circles about the merits of the movie and distinctions of masterpieces versus outright messes. In 2nd place is new release American Assassin, faring better than Mother with $14.8 million. That's ahead of expectations, but it's only decent for the genre. Audiences gave it a B+ cinema score, and critics swung to the opposite pole with a 35% approval. While the new releases fought over the middle ground, this week's winner sat comfortably upon the throne. Remaining in first this week is It, adding $60.1 million to a total of $218.8 million. That brings it to the largest September release ever, beating out Crocodile Dundee from 1986 without compensating for inflation. The adjusted numbers over time put it at 4th place behind Rush Hour, Fatal Attraction, and Crocodile Dundee. It is within less than 1 week, about $14 million, of becoming the largest R-rated horror film of all time over The Exorcist. Let's close out the box office report with a look at what was winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2012, End of Watch took number 1 with $13.2 million. It almost wasn't the winner, as initial estimates had End of Watch tied with the aforementioned House at the End of the Street. 10 years ago in 2007, Resident Evil Extinction won the weekend with $23.7 million. 20 years ago in 1997, In and Out was the winner with $15 million. 30 years ago in 1987, the previously mentioned Fatal Attraction took the title with $7.6 million, starting one hell of a box office run. And 40 years ago, in 1977, Star Wars won the box office crown with $3.1 million, making this the 8th time in 17 weeks. The box office premieres for September 22nd are battling clowns with Spy Adventures and LEGO Ninjas. This week's headliner is Kingsmen, The Golden Circle, an action-adventure comedy starring Taron Egerton, Colin Firth, and Mark Strong.
Hey! Babe, got a bit of a save the world situation here. I've got to sleep with the target.
You gotta be kidding.
You're the person I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Is that a proposal?
Well, I'm not... Nah. Someone is targeting Kingsmen.
Welcome to Statesman.
We'll be working side by side.
Come on. Now you're going to see the difference between a statesman and a Kingsman.
That'll make you want to slap your mama right there.
Kingsman, rated R, September 22nd.
When their headquarters are destroyed and the world is held hostage, the Kingsmen's journey leads them to the discovery of an allied spy organization in the United States. These two elite secret organizations must band together to defeat a common enemy. Kingsman, The Golden Circle is rated R. Number 2 on the list is the LEGO Ninjago Movie, an animated adventure comedy starring Jackie Chan, Dave Franco, and Fred Armisen.
Lloyd!
Yeah?
That's your dad. You were open, man. It was highly poignant. For me, it's easy to fight him because he's, like, not my father. But for you, that must be so complicated.
Not that complicated.
You also really pulled at my heartstrings, man. I felt for you.
With the missiles.
No, with the other stuff.
The
too,
other,
the
what,
dad stuff.
Yeah, but like, exactly what are you referring to?
Watching you and your father. The vulnerability. You got so emotional.
Emotions were the last thing that was going on out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's okay, Lloyd. Nobody's parents are perfect.
I mean, my mom is weird and collects seashells. Your dad levels cities and attacks innocent people. So, they've all got their quirks, you know?
6 young ninjas, Lloyd, Jay, Kai, Cole, Zane, and Naya, are tasked with defending their island home called Ninjago. By night, they're gifted warriors, using their skills and awesome fleet of vehicles to fight villains and monsters, but by day, they're ordinary teens struggling against their greatest enemy, high school. The LEGO Ninjago Movie is rated PG. And number 3 on the list is Friend Request, a horror thriller starring Alicia Dedmon Carey, William Moseley, and Connor Paulo.
So according to you, Miss Woodson, this video just magically appeared on your timeline this morning. Do I have that right?
Why would I do this?
There must be some reason this girl burned that picture of you.
Look, Laura, we know that you're a great student, but multiple students reported you harassing Marina.
No. She was the one harassing me. She was obsessed with me.
Laura, no one's saying it's your fault that Marina took her life.
We're looking into everything. But in the meantime, Laura, if you can't delete that video, you're gonna have to delete your profile.
A popular college student graciously accepts a social outcast's online friend request, but soon finds herself fighting a demonic presence that wants to make her lonely by killing her closest friends. Friend Request is rated R. There are also 7 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of September 19th, and I'll begin with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list kicks off with Wonder Woman, a fantasy adventure film starring Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, and Robin Wright. The Amazonian warrior Princess Diana left her lush tropical island to dwell in our urban cityscapes of glass and steel. Tutored in the ways of the Greek warriors and outfitted with incredible gifts the goddess bestowed upon her people, she becomes Paradise Island's emissary to civilization. Wonder Woman is rated PG-13. Number 2 on the list is The Big Sick, a romantic comedy starring Kumail Nanjiani, Zoe Kazan, and Holly Hunter. A couple deals with their cultural differences as their relationship grows. The Big Sick is rated R. And the third title is Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars, an animated sci-fi action film starring Casper Van Dien, Dina Meyer, and DeRay Davis. Federation trooper Johnny Rico is ordered to work with a group of new recruits on a satellite station on Mars, where giant bugs have decided to target their next attack. Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars is rated R. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have one title to share, and that one is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, an adventure fantasy film starring Johnny Depp, Javier Bardem, and Kaya Scodelario. Captain Jack Sparrow searches for the Trident of Poseidon while being pursued by an undead sea captain and his crew. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales is rated PG-13. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with Arrow, Season 5 from 2016, starring Stephen Amell, Katie Cassidy, and Emily Bett Rickards. In Season 5, newly appointed Mayor Oliver Queen finds himself challenged as he fights on two fronts for the future of Star City. With his right hand, John Diggle, back in the military, and his sister Thea adamant about hanging up her vigilante hood as Speedy, Team Green Arrow is down to just Oliver and Felicity, but they're no longer the only vigilantes in town. Green Arrow's public defeat of Damien Dark at the end of Season 4 has inspired a new crop of masked heroes to step up and defend the city, though their painful inexperience makes them obstacles rather than allies in the field. The arrival of a deadly new adversary will force Oliver to confront questions about his own legacy, both as mayor and as the Green Arrow. The second title is Bates Motel, the complete series, spanning 2013 to 2017 and starring Vera Farmiga, Freddie Highmore, and Max Thoreau. Norma Bates loves her son Norman more than anything in the world. After her husband dies unexpectedly, Norma and teenage Norman find a new home, and this new town is a chance for Norman to start over with new friends without the specter of his dead father haunting his mind. The property is actually a motel and a house situated on a busy main road, and Norma sees this opportunity as destiny as she starts a new business. Norman starts at the local school, and the two seem happy about the change, but the new town is not all it appears to be. Corrupt policemen and drug deals abound, making business difficult for Norma's new motel. And with Norman acting up more than ever, it is up to Norma to keep the peace with her teenage son while cultivating her business. That is about the most pedestrian lead into Psycho I have ever read. Number 3 on our TV slate is Timeless, Season 1 from 2016, starring Abigail Spencer, Matt Lanter, and Malcolm Barrett. Intent on destroying America as we know it by changing history, a mysterious criminal, Flynn, steals a secret state-of-the-art time machine. The only hope of stopping him lies with an unexpected team: Lucy, a history professor, Wyatt, a soldier, and Rufus, a scientist, who must use the machine's prototype to travel back in time to ensure critical events remain unchanged. As they try to stay one step ahead of the dangerous fugitive, they must also work to uncover the mystery behind it all to end Flynn's destruction before it's too late. The fourth entry on this list is Lethal Weapon, Season 1 from 2016, starring Damon Wayans, Clayne Crawford, and Keisha Sharp. Grief-stricken over the loss of his family, Martin Riggs moves to California to start over at the LAPD. He's paired with Roger Murtaugh, who's back on the job after a near-fatal heart attack, and Riggs' penchant for diving into the line of fire clashes with Murtaugh's by-the-book technique. But Riggs discovers that he may have found something worth living for: a partner and a friend. Even Murtaugh figures that this might just work if Riggs doesn't get them killed first.
I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me. Take me out to the black, tell them I ain't coming back. Burn the land and boil the sea. You can't take the sky from me.
The fifth title says, "You Can't Take the Sky From Me." It's Firefly, the complete series, the 15th anniversary edition. Firefly was on the air in 2002 and starred Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres, and Alan Tudyk. Hang on for the ride of your life as you launch your imagination into a spectacular world of sci-fi action and rugged adventure from the genius mind of creator Joss Whedon. Set 500 years in the future in the aftermath of a universal civil war, Firefly follows Captain Malcolm Reynolds and his renegade crew of the transport ship Serenity, a fiercely loyal team ready to tackle any job, legal or not. But when they unwittingly take on a mysterious pair of travelers, they find themselves constantly on the run, desperate to evade Alliance authorities, flesh-eating reavers, and other hostile dangers in the darkest corners of space. TV title number 6 is Madam Secretary, Season 3 from 2017, starring Téa Leoni, Tim Daly, and Keith Carradine. When it comes to prisoner negotiations, international aid, and thwarting the next World War, look no further than the U.S. Secretary of State, Elizabeth McCord. Since joining the White House staff, she's seen her fair share of global threats, but her greatest challenges lie ahead. While she and her husband Henry must outsmart their own personal stalker, new enemies emerge both overseas and in the States. Working alongside President Conrad Dalton, Elizabeth proves not even the commander-in-chief can save the world alone. As Chief of Staff, Russell Jackson ramps up his efforts at home to get Dalton re-elected. A personal crisis brings him to face his own mortality. Thankfully, Elizabeth's unwavering team, led by Nadine Tolliver, helps keep the cabinet on their feet and the nation under control. In times like these, only one thing is certain. We need a woman like Elizabeth McCord. Number 7 is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the complete series, the 20th anniversary edition. Buffy was on the air from 1997 to 2003 and stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, Nicholas Brendan, and Allison Hannigan. The teen years can be brutal, especially when you're Buffy Summers, a Sunnydale High School student destined to slay supernatural, blood-sucking baddies instead of hanging out at the mall. Over the 7 seasons of this thrilling, witty show, Buffy struggles to maintain allies in the fight against evil while also engaging in one-off romances with a moody vampire or two. Now you can own this 39-disc set containing all 144 episodes of one of the smartest, funniest, most action-packed series ever to slay on the small screen. The final TV title this week is Friends, the complete series, spanning 1994 to 2004 and starring Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, and Lisa Kudrow. Friends is a sitcom about 6 friends struggling to survive on their own in Manhattan. In each episode, they find the companionship, comfort, and support from each other to be the perfect solutions to the pressures of everyday life. This release is a smaller repack of the complete series Blu-ray collection from 5 years ago. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you 2 titles. The first is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a science fiction drama from 1977 celebrating 40 wonderful years, starring Richard Dreyfuss, Francois Truffaut, and Terry Garr. In the night skies near his Muncie, Indiana home, power repairman Roy Neary experiences something out of this world. His close encounter sets into action an amazing chain of events that leads to contact with benevolent aliens and their mothership. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is rated PG. The other release is The Adventures of Captain Marvel, an action-adventure serial from 1941 starring Tom Tyler, Frank Coughlin Jr., and William Benedict. To protect a magic talisman from being used for evil, a boy is given the power to become an adult superhero with a single magic word. Shazam! The Adventures of Captain Marvel are not rated. After this brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will continue.
You go through there, it's 1960.
Stephen King's time travel thriller, 11/22/63, is coming to Hulu. and Golden Spiral Media will journey down the rabbit hole with 11/22/63, A Look Back. Join Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinrichs as they journey through the obdurate past. Life turns on a dime, so join us at 11/22/63podcast.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. Up first, George R.R. Martin's Night Flyers gets a series order from Sci-Fi. A pilot for the sci-fi novella-based series was ordered by the network in June. Originally published in 1980 by the anthology magazine Analog Science Fiction and Fact, Martin's Night Flyers concerns a group of scientists embarking on a mission to the edge of the solar system aboard the titular spacecraft to make contact with a legendary alien race called the Volcran. The mission is mysterious from the get-go, thanks to the ship's reclusive captain and the presence of a powerful psychic, and things only get more bizarre when the psychic begins suffering a nervous breakdown that the crew comes to believe heralds the approach of an alien presence. Martin himself has described the book as a haunted starship story. Sci-Fi is banking on Night Flyers becoming the next successful George R.R. Martin book to TV translation by ordering it to series, as reported by Variety. A pilot script has been written by Jeff Bueller of Midnight Meat Train, and Doug Lehman is on board as one of the executive producers. Martin himself will not be involved in the project as he is far too busy, he better be far too busy, finishing The Winds of Winter. It's not like we've been waiting 7 years or anything. Up next, in Wonder Woman news, Expendable writer David Callahan is joining Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns. Woo! Wonder Woman 2! Following the record-breaking success of Wonder Woman, Warner Bros. Is quickly looking to capitalize on the character's popularity. She's received an expanded role in the marketing for Justice League, and now it seems like her sequel is starting to make some real progress. Gal Gadot is set to return as Diana Prince, and it was recently made official that Patty Jenkins will return to direct. Jenkins' return to the franchise will not only see her receive a well-deserved pay raise, but also more input to the story. Thank you. She had already started breaking the story with DC Films head Jeff Johns prior to signing on to direct, and Warner Bros. Has now enlisted a new writer to further develop the script. THR is reporting that Dave Callahan, the writer behind The Expendables, Godzilla, among others, has joined the sequel as a writer. Time will tell where the story is going to take us. I just hope that in their rush to capitalize on Wonder Woman, they don't do what so many have done before and sacrifice quality for popularity. A story sucks no matter what, and I would hate to see Wonder Woman fall victim to sloppy mistakes and a slapped-together script. Next, okay, did you guys know Jay and Silent Bob was getting a reboot? I sure as hell didn't. Either way, a reboot is happening, and it will feature Clerk's Brian O'Halloran. So, that's a thing that's happening, and I'm not really sure why, but there it is. Moving on. Harrison Ford says he would rather not return to Star Wars again, and honestly, I can't blame him. Banking too much on the original trilogy to make the new trilogy work is a formula for disaster. Harrison Ford isn't completely closing the door on a return to the franchise, but he strongly suggests he would prefer his days as Han Solo ended with the character's death in The Force Awakens. This is something he's been fighting for since Return of the Jedi, so give the guy a break, huh? In a wide-ranging interview with GQ, the star answered the obligatory question with his usual duck and dodge, but still remains in the camp of Han Solo not returning to a galaxy far, far away. And while we're on the subject of Star Wars, Episode 9 is on its 4th script and J.J. Abrams is set to direct. The movie now has 5 screenwriters to its name and is on the 4th major revision of the script. To recap, J.J. Abrams has come on to Episode 9 as its director and co-writer with Chris Terrio, replacing the recently departed and somehow unlamented Colin Trevorrow. Reviews to this announcement have been a mixed bag, but that's to be expected. You either hate Abrams or you love him. There really is no in-between here. Mainly, it's because he played it safe with Force Awakens, and Terrio rewrote the Batman vs. Superman script and worked on the story and screenplay for Justice League. My own personal contention comes in the form of the Starkiller base. How could Abrams be so lazy as to do a bigger and badder villain, and what's he gonna do to keep the story going? I mean, sure, there's Snoke, but unless he's got something really sinister up his sleeve, there's no real villain in the Star Wars universe, just family drama. I mean, sure, there's an incompetent government, but who doesn't have that these days? When Episode 9 arrives in December 2019, it will have been in active development for 4 years. And it is a turbulent time for Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm, with Han Solo going through a director change-up almost 85% of the way through production, and now Episode 9 is doing the same thing 2 years into pre-production. It's clear that Abrams and Torrio are there because they're the safe bet, the ones that will bring about, we hope, a satisfying ending, and they'll do it without any drama. So, for those of you playing along at home, there's a snafu at Lucasfilm and no one actually knows what's going on except that there have been 5 screenwriters, 4 scripts, and a bunch of directors have gotten hired and fired for various reasons. Let's just hope the story hasn't suffered for it. And lastly, Nintendo says more NES Classic units will be shipped in summer of 2018. They promise you guys, they really, really do. And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, we would love to hear from you. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com. If 140 characters or less is more your thing, you can still tweet us on Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley, James, Keith. And I am Womprat99. Like the creature who looked with bullseye in his T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. We have the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, presenting the transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Downer podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. In fact, if you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine and find us there on the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, which has episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who for the first time from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing those stories in the Timestamps Project. Right now, the blog is in the middle of the 20th season. In fact, I just published the second part of the Black Guardian trilogy called Terminus. And those reviews can be found at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as a cover designer. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you at the theater. That's a wrap!